Hello everybody, Grace chatting here again, talking about how to survive living with an alcoholic. And we're on to part 8, I believe. Yeah, I think it's part 8 we're on to now. And I'd like to talk now about the steps you need to take to recovery. Because the steps are simple actually, but not very easy, but simple. So I'm just going to talk through them, and then in the coming videos I'll go into each step in a bit more depth. And you see, up till now, part of the problem is that you have become so focused on the view that he is the problem, and the only solution to the problem is that he changes. And that perspective is keeping you stuck, as I've mentioned several times. It's also keeping you very unhappy. So to move ahead, as I've said, it's an inside job, and it does mean you looking at you, because you're the only one who can change. So it's no accident that the first step in AA and in Al-anon, and in fact all the 12-step programs, which have been running for decades with high levels of success actually, and the very first step is admitted I was powerless. Now, I think you've got to admit that trying to change life and make things different, living with this problem of alcoholism, you have felt and do feel quite powerless. It doesn't alter the fact that you keep trying to change it, but the fact is you are powerless to change somebody else. You can't make them be different. So you've got to get honest with yourself. So that's the first step, that you've got to make your recovery a priority. So you've got your journal. You need to make a commitment to your recovery, not his recovery, your recovery. And the first step in that is to admit that you are powerless. You haven't been able to change anything doing what you've been doing. All your best efforts haven't worked. So you've got to get honest about that. Secondly, you've got to get some help. Just the act of realizing you can't do this on your own actually takes you out of the space of where you've been, trying to do it yourself, trying to change him and make things different. So actually reaching out for help. Now that help in the first instance can be just watching these videos. It can be reading some books. That a book that I would recommend to you is it's an old book. It's been around for many years, and I remember reading it myself many years ago. So it's Robin Norwood, Women Who Love Too Much, and I would recommend that you read this book. And if you do get this book and read it, you'll see that she talks through steps that are very similar to what I'm going to tell you, because it is what works. What she's saying, what I'm saying, is similar to what AA and Al-anon say, that basically you have to admit, I can't do it. I need to do something different. Secondly, I need some help, whether that's reading books like the one I've just suggested, watching videos like this, becoming informed about how you've come to be in this situation and how do you manage to change it. One of the other things is getting to know yourself. Up to now, all your focus is on him and changing him, and you've not always been aware of how you've been and why you've been the way you are. Now, this isn't about placing blame, whether it's his fault or your fault, because one of the things we need to move away from is the whole idea of it being anybody's fault or anybody being to blame, because that just keeps you stuck. But this is about getting to know you and what makes you happy and how life has been for you recently, and maybe for a long time, hasn't been happy. So my aim as we work through these videos is that you do get happier. But to do that, you need to actually reconnect with yourself. So you can do that much more easily, actually, if you do reach out for help with another human being. So the books are good, videos are good, they're first steps, but it's really useful, I have suggested before, to find your local Al-anon group where you'll meet people who are just like you. When you go at first, you'll think that, of course, you're different to them. I remember the first time I went to an Al-anon group, I thought, well, you know, these women are on a different planet. But actually they weren't. The thing is to go along and actually let go of control and this idea that you know better, because you don't. So go along to an Al-anon group, and the recommendation is usually to attend 6 meetings before you jump to any conclusion. And I guarantee if you do go along for 6 meetings and start dropping your defenses and your need to control and your need to know better, and actually just be a vulnerable woman who's there with other vulnerable women and some men as well, that, you know, start to allow yourself to listen to what other people in your situation have done to at least keep their sanity and not to start behaving in bizarre ways themselves. So there is one of the steps, the third step in the 12 steps of the 12-step movement, is to let go and let God. And that is a God of your understanding. So it's not about religion. It's about just acknowledging you can't do it on your own. Only something greater than yourself can restore your life to normality and some kind of happiness. So that's the first few steps, is to get honest with yourself, because one of the big features you'll know of your partner's drinking, one of the big features is he can't see what the problem is. He doesn't see that there is a problem, and not seeing the problem is part of the problem. And it's the same for you too. You can't see that you actually need some help. And that's part of the problem as well. You're running a parallel process with him. He doesn't think he needs help and you don't think you need help. Well, take your own advice. If you would like him to get help, then go do that yourself and get the benefit of it. And I would love to hear from you. If you go, actually, if there isn't an Al-anon group near you, and if you can manage it, please go and see a therapist but make sure you get a therapist who actually understands the dynamics of alcoholism and how, you know, how it grinds you down. Now, there are several other steps, and I will talk further about the steps to recovery in the next video, because I'm trying to keep these videos a bit short. So bye for now.